dead of night, full of echo. Concrete jungle, dreams bust to grow. Mets in the air, chase glory, no fear. Broken backs, but hearts steer clear. OMG, the chaos, what a scene. Streets buzzing like a machine. Grimace from the shadows, chills on my spine. Past haunts, the future shine. Comebacks in the night, keep dreams alive. Fighting tooth and nail just to survive. City's heartbeat echoes in our chant. Grit and glory is all we want. Brooklyn to Queens, hear the roar. From laughter to blood in every scar. Living legends made on this ground. From silence we scream, make a sound. Rising high, falling low, repeat again. Cycles of the game, addicted to the pen. Graffiti tales spray on the wall. Met saga, forever stand tall. Rivals sneer, but we push on through. Every heartbeat bleeds, orange and blue. Grimace fades, turn into a storm. In the Mets family, we are reborn. Mets talk live, we keep it raw. Sipping on Henny, we breaking the law. Queens represent, bitches know the name. New York Mets, we bringing the flame. So raise your glass, here's to the Mets. Ballin' harder than the rest, no regrets. City feel rockin', the vibe's electric. Ain't no stopping us, we getting hectic. Riding with the crew, we do it right. Mets in our soul, we ballin' all night. Queens to the core, we bringing the ruckus. Shout out to the fans, we live in the touch. Playoff dreams, we stacking the wins. Mets talk live, let the madness begin.
What's up, Mets fans? Welcome to a Mets Talk Live New Year's edition. Happy New Year, everybody. You got about an hour or so until the new year, and it is all about the 2025 New York Mets. Welcome, guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to, somewhat of a busy party scene type of atmosphere, obviously around the country as we step into the new year. So be safe, be smart, and drink some champagne, as we will pop some champagne at midnight when the ball drops. And when it's midnight, we will basically spend a few minutes to say Happy New Year, pop some champagne, and then we will call it a stream. But we're always going to talk about the New York Mets. Thank you for tuning into the channel tonight, guys. If you're new to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hit on that subscribe button. If you've been here before, which I see a lot of people in the chat that have been here plenty of times before, and I do appreciate that. As you guys keep spending time elsewhere, but you're going to spend it with my crazy ass on New Year, and I do appreciate that. As we get into the new year and talk about what are the 2025 Mets have in store for us roster-wise and season-wise. So make sure you hit on that like button, guys, and make sure you be safe during these New Year hours. You know how crazy it can be with the fireworks. Living in New York all my life, as I've been until this year, fireworks were illegal in New York, even though some people tried and did it successfully. In where I'm at now in North Carolina, it's basically every man for themselves when it comes to fireworks. And I will be very interested to see if fireworks are blowing up all over the place where I'm living right now. So with that said, let's get into some Mets talk so we can get into the topics and then, count it down for the new year. All right, guys. So we know about the Roki Sasaki situation that is happening in 2025, obviously. And that is why topic number one is all about Roki Sasaki, because he can officially sign, or technically on January 15th, when the new international free agent money is allocated. And he'll have until the 23rd because of the time frame that he's allowed to sign. If not, he has to go back to Japan, which we all know he won't be going back to Japan. He will be playing for a major league team in 2025. I'm not telling you that the New York Mets have a great shot at landing Roki Sasaki. I don't believe that. I don't believe he will choose the Mets, but we do know some more things about Roki Sasaki that Joe Wolf, the agent of Roki Sasaki, he talked about in a long article when he got interviewed in regards to what is Roki Sasaki thinking. He doesn't care about the big market. He gave everybody the same amount of time when it came to the meetings that were set by certain teams. There was about 20 teams that asked for meetings. There was only a certain number, and I do have the names of the teams officially. And if you give me 1 second, I'm going to pull it up right there. I don't know if you guys want to care, but that is my cat with his little glow in the dark glasses because he's ready for New Year's. I would think so. So the teams that have officially met that we know of is the Cubs, Dodgers, Giants, Mets, Rangers, and Yankees. Again, there's only two East Coast teams in the Mets and the Yankees. You got the Midwest team in the Cubs, and you got the West teams in the Dodgers and the Giants. Now, a lot of people keep on saying the Padres, yet we don't know if he met with the Padres, even though he can still meet with teams. And there's a possibility, as Joe Wolf said, his agent said that there is a possibility that he could still meet with teams, but it's more likely that the teams are going to get narrowed down within the next 2 weeks or so when he can officially sign on January 15th. And he's not probably not going to sign on the 15th, but it looks like he's going to narrow the teams by then. And then we'll have a better understanding of the teams that are favorites to land Roki Sasaki. And we don't know much about what went on in those meetings. We do know that every team had 2 hours. Roki Sasaki requested no players from each individual team shows up. He just wanted to meet with the executives. He wanted to meet with pitching coaches, people that are involved that can talk about the team, talk about the pitching, talk about whatever labs or how they, develop their pitchers and how they work with their pitchers and everything like that. He wants to know the inner workings of the team, not just the player that is going to a team that might have the best players or, the best coach or whatever. So he wants to know everything. He gave everybody the same allocated time that he met with, 2 hours. So he wanted it to be fair for everybody. And more I think about it, and again, I don't believe the Mets are going to be the favorite. I don't think he's going to choose the Mets. I do think the Mets are going to be probably the 3 finalists, in my opinion. The only reason why I say that is because early on in the talks with the agent, he specifically brought up Jeremy Hefner and the Mets in regards to they really like Jeremy Hefner and how he's worked with pitchers and developed pitchers and everything like that. Again, Met fans aren't very thrilled about Jeremy Hefner, but around baseball, around apparently around the world, they know about Jeremy Hefner. They like him. They see what he does that they like. Whatever that might be beneficial for the Mets when it comes to Sasaki. Who the hell knows? But that is something that I think could put the Mets in the finalist role. Again, everybody believes that the Dodgers and Sasaki have this secret deal going on. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. I don't know. I'm not going to say yes or no. I'm not in the room. I wish I was in the room, but I'm not. It is what it is. I would be shocked if he's going to go to the Dodgers with Yamamoto, with Ohtani, and I know he probably wants to go under the radar. But again, he can actually, be on a team where he can be in control of the situation. And again, I don't believe it's going to be the Mets. I do think the Mets are going to be the favorites. And if I think the Mets, I think the Mets are going to be one of the 3 finalists. Because I think they're going to narrow it down to probably 3 or 4 teams. So I'm just going to go with 3 teams. I think it's probably going to be, I think the Dodgers are going to be on that list. Again, the Padres, what we know, didn't have a meeting with Roki Sasaki. So what does that mean? I have no idea. No idea why they didn't have meetings prior to the new year. I don't know. But the names that I mentioned, the teams that I mentioned, are the teams that we know of. There was 20 teams that requested a meeting. We know about those teams, and that's basically it at the moment. So I just don't understand, or I don't know if there's going to be more teams that are going to be meeting, or Sasaki wanted to meet with those teams that I mentioned, and that's basically the teams he's going to narrow down when it comes to January 15th. That's the only thing I can think of at this point. And Paula, I agree. I'm not holding my breath either, but the Mets are clearly serious about these Japanese pitchers. We know how close they were with Yamamoto, as they did give the highest offer. The Dodgers match. Yamamoto never came back for the Mets to do anything else to, increase their offer, right? It was basically Yamamoto using the Mets to get the offer that he wanted for the Dodgers, see if they would bump it up. If the Dodgers didn't match the Mets, maybe he would have went to the Mets. Who knows? But what I do know is that the Mets and Stearns and Cohen, they want these Japanese pitchers, right? Sasaki is much more different than Yamamoto, because he's too young to be in that, the most money is probably going to get this guy. That's not the case. It's when it comes to the international sign-in money, it's very minimal when it comes to the teams that are involved. The teams that are involved that we know of, it's very minimal money when it comes to who might have a little bit more international signing money than the other team. It's very close. Very, very close. There's a lot of talk about this international free agent. The Mets are like, it's kind of like a handshake agreement that they want to sign. I don't know if that's going to hurt the Mets in trying to get Sasaki. I doubt that. But I think it's possible that any team that is a finalist, when he does narrow it down, has a great shot. Now, I don't know if the narrowing of the teams means that he's going to have another meeting with the teams that he narrowed down. I don't know that. We don't know that. I'm assuming that's going to be the case, but we'll see. We will see. I do think the fact that the way the Mets are working or not working with this rotation and going with reclamation projects, bringing back Show Manaea, where I'm assuming they see it as Manaea can be almost as good as last year, and you pair him with Senga, who hopefully will be healthy and pitch, and then you got David Peterson, you got Montas, and God knows who else, Griffin Cannon as well. Still holding on hope that the Mets are going to trade for a starting pitcher. Again, I might not be holding my breath on that one either, but if they are going to hope for Sasaki, and again, the way the Mets are going about this, I really feel like the Mets felt like they had a really good meeting with Sasaki. And because Sasaki brought up, or the agent brought up about Jeremy Hefner very early on, and it was during the winter meetings, it just feels like the Mets aren't much of a long shot as we actually necessarily think they are. Again, there's no news. The Mets don't leak anything. The Mets, you know what I'm saying? So it's hard to really tell. But in this situation, it's so up in the air because it's not about money. It's about where Sasaki wants to go. Is it location? Is it demographic? Is it teams that have a shot to win? Is it somewhere where he wants to be low key? There's a big reason why Ohtani went to the Angels, because it's LA, but it is quote unquote the little brother of the Dodgers, right? It's in Orange County. Nobody really cares. The Dodger gets all the spotlight, and that's basically what Ohtani did. He was an outstanding player for the Angels and then got a huge payday when he became a free agent with the Dodgers. So a lot of things that we can look at when it comes to Roki Sasaki, but it's more similar to the Ohtani situation coming from Japan than it is Yamamoto, because Sasaki is too young and he's younger, and that's where the international money comes into play, and it doesn't really give anybody a clear-cut advantage. Because let's be honest, guys, if it was all about the money and Steve Cohen wants Sasaki, Steve Cohen's going to have the highest offer. It's just a matter of will Sasaki choose that if the Dodgers match or another team matches. That's what you hope that doesn't happen, but we don't have to worry about that, right? Because this is international money, international signing money, and that's what the Mets are going to be working with right now. So let me just check the comments really quick, guys. And yeah, I did a little bit of a neon light theme here. That's why it's kind of dark. You kind of see my face, but nobody wants to see my face, right? So that's why I got all this nonsense going on here. But that's all right. That's what we're trying to do, it a little change up a little bit for the new year, just for tonight as we head towards the new year. And hopefully, when the new year kicks off tomorrow, we start getting some more understanding of what this roster is going to look like, because Pete Alonso is still a free agent. Bregman's still a free agent. Santander is a free agent. All three guys that we believe, we know the Mets are in on Alex Bregman. We obviously know the Alonso situation with the Mets. And Santander, ever since the 2-year offer to Teoscar Hernandez, a lot of people are assuming, including Will Salmon, that wrote about it, that if they were in on Teoscar Hernandez, they're probably in on Anthony Santander. How aggressive are they going to be with Santander? I don't know. I think the better combination duo is Pete Alonso and Alex Bregman. It just suits the team better than Alonso and Santander, because that doesn't really make sense to me. I think you can work with Bregman at third. You can move Vientos to DH and play Pete Alonso at first base. And then the DH role, you want to give Bregman a day off, you play Vientos at third. You want to give Pete Alonso a day off, you play Vientos at first. There's options there that the Mets could use, but ultimately it makes your team better. When you got Bregman, when you get Alonso, you get Vientos, Lindor, Nimmo, that lineup 1 through 6 is dangerous as hell. And let's throw Alvarez in there to make it 1 through 7. And then 8 to 9 is going to be a combination of Tyrone Taylor, Siri, and Jeff McNeil, or whoever's playing second base. That is a lineup that you can go to war with any team in baseball. The issue is, how much do you trust the rotation? Right? Let's say the Mets don't get Sasaki, and maybe they get another pitcher. I don't know. Name a pitcher that's probably a number 3 at best, another reclamation project, and you're going in with Sean Manaea, basically your ace, Kodai Senga, whatever you want to think that he can provide, coming back from injury, and David Peterson. We hope that hip surgery was the reason why he was having so much issue pitching, and pitching to his expectation. And you just hope, if what we seen last year is what David Peterson can be, now you're talking about a whole different ball game here. Because I think David Peterson is the key to this rotation. Why do I say that? Because David Peterson can be a 4-5, but if he pitched the way he did last year, he's easily a number 2. And if you got that with Manaea pitching close to what he did last year, and Kodai Senga, doesn't have to be great here. He can be fine. He can be good. And now you're talking about a 1-2-3 that is a lot better than what the Mets had last year, 1-2-3. And now you can work with Montage. You can work with Griffin Cannon. And, work your way into that situation. And it's not terrible. But again, it's still a lot of ifs. And that's what concerns me, right? I don't want to score 6.5 runs per ball game and you're giving up 7 runs per ball game. Not saying that the rotation cannot be good, right? I'm not saying there's no chance of that. Absolutely there is, right? Only 2 years ago, Montas was pitching to a 3.21 ERA in Oakland. Then he got hurt, and then the Yankees traded for him and pitched him while he was hurt. And last year, when he went to the Reds and then went to the Brewers, it wasn't a great year. So what do you take out of that? Do you take the year that he was with Oakland and then got hurt and then got traded to the Yankees and pitched hurt? Or do you take about last year where he was kind of coming back from injury, starting the season. Is that where we're going to take from, because that's a big gap from 3.21 to over a 4.5 ERA. That is a huge gap. So we just don't know. No, Carlos, see, I don't think you hear what I'm saying now. I'm not saying David Peterson's the number 2, but when he did come back from his surgery and his rehab, he pitched. He was one of our most consistent pitchers. And we know what he did in the playoffs, in the bullpen, and coming in at any moment when he was needed. So I'm not saying David Peterson's the number 2. What I'm saying is if Pete Alonso, Jesus Christ, if David Peterson pitches the way he did last year, in a role where you throw him in this rotation, because clearly the Mets like him and put him in this rotation. Because I don't care what David Peterson did 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Doesn't concern me. I care about what he did last year. And when he came back from that hip surgery, he was a totally different pitcher. He was outstanding. He wasn't good. He was outstanding. And I'm not saying he's going to do that. What I'm saying is there's a possibility that if he pitches the way he did last year and he does it this year, I mean, look at the numbers. Like, let's pull it up really quickly when it comes to David Peterson. Let's just look at it really quick. Give me a second. There we go. Give me a second. Let me just pull it up, and we're gonna look at it really quick. Like, I mean, if you haven't looked at these numbers, you would be completely shocked. All right, there we go. There we go. All right, so I hate these damn things. All right, here we go. Hold on. Hey. All right, here we go. So he started 21 games for the Mets. Right? 21 games for the Mets during the season. He pitched to a 2.90 ERA. David Peterson, that never had a lower, except for 2020, where he had a 3.44 ERA. Every other year, 5.55. 2022, 3.83. 2023, 5.03. 2024, 2.90 ERA. He had one complete. I'm sorry, that was last. He had pitched 121 innings. So remember, he came back June, if I'm not mistaken, mid-June. So obviously, he missed about 2.5 months. He gave up 39 earned runs, 8 home runs, 46 walks, 101 strikeouts. I mean, it was an excellent year. A whip of 1.289. I mean, he had an excellent year when he came back. Like, this is not me saying that David Peterson is going to be that. But when you don't feel that pain anymore that he was clearly feeling over the last 2.5 years, that they really couldn't pinpoint, and they finally figured it out, guess what? He pitched to what we believed he can be when he came up and pitched extremely well during the pandemic year in 2020, which I don't take too much merit in. But 2 years after that, in 2022, he pitched to a 3.83 ERA. So I'm not saying he's going to pitch to a 2.9 ERA. If he can pitch to a 2.9 ERA, there's your ace. Like, I'm no joke. Like, you can pitch to an under 3 ERA. I mean, you're an ace of a staff. It's just that simple. So, but again, I don't think I have to see it again, right? I hate to say that because he did prove in 21 games. He pitched to a 2.9 ERA last year during the season as a starter. And then obviously he went to the bullpen. We know what he did in the playoffs. He was very vital and basically saved our asses when it came to pitching in certain parts of the game. So it is very interesting that we're not even bringing up David Peterson enough of how, everybody wants to bring up Sean Manaea. David Peterson was damn good when he came back. Ever since he came back, there wasn't a bad start on David Peterson's year. There wasn't. Like that's the crazy thing. And that's why I keep saying that you have to understand that this is what the Mets are looking at here. Look, I don't agree with it. I wanted Corbin Burns. I still say trade for Castillo. Right? I want a top line starter. But I'm also being realistic at this point now that I don't think it's going to happen. Yeah, Carlos, I'm not even telling you that I believe in David Peterson, but I have to look at the stats and be truthful about it. He did pitch to a 2.9 ERA. I guarantee you, without looking at the stats, you probably never would have done. We know he pitched pretty well when he came back, but I just told you he pitched to a 2.90 ERA, better than Manaea, better than Severino, better than everybody on the pitching staff of the New York Mets in 21 games started when he came back. Nobody would have thought that if you didn't look at it, right? David Peterson could be key to this rotation if this is the rotation that we're going with. Let's say the Mets do get another pitcher or use Griffin Cannon or somebody else to start a 5-6-man rotation, whatever it might be, right? If it's not a top line starter and it's a bunch of number 2s, 3s, 4s, or whatever, David Peterson could be a huge factor in what this rotation could be, right? Everybody loves Manaea, but he has to do it again. You do it 1 year. What does that prove? That proved that you had a good year, and that's great. But you have to do it again. You got paid because they're expecting you to do that again. There's a pretty good chance if the rotation stays the way, even if Sasaki does become a New York Met, which changes the rotation big time, Sasaki's not pitching on opening day. Game 1, opening day in Houston, the season opener, Sean Manaea is pitching. I'd be shocked if he's not. So I think, just like I keep on saying that, I think Manaea has to show it again to prove that he can be at least close to what he was last year, because I'm not expecting him to be as good or even better than last year. Give me something close to that, and we're working with something here, right? I can't tell you a damn thing what we're getting for Kodai Senga, right? I need him to get through spring training healthy, and then we can talk about what we can expect from Kodai Senga, because nobody can tell me that you can trust Kodai Senga in 2025. Until he pitches in spring training, gets through his routine every 5th day or 6th day through spring training and stays healthy and gets that pitch count up, I'm not counting on Kodai Senga at all. So I'm not going to actually say that about Kodai Senga until he stays healthy in spring training. Then we can talk about how good he can be. But we have no idea. He's not even throwing a ball yet. And we're expecting him to be a number 2? That's crazy. But I do think David Peterson, because I just gave you the numbers, is the key to this rotation. Because if he pitches close to what he did last year, let's say not a 2.90 ERA, which I'm even shocked. I didn't even think he pitched that good, right? I mean, that shocked me when I just read the numbers. This is the first time I looked at it. So even if he pitches to a 3.4 ERA, that is probably, if you look at the numbers and ERAs around the league, if you're pitching to under a 3.5 ERA, you're basically a top line starter. A 1A, 2A, whatever you want to call it. So it's a possibility. And then, you go back to the 4th, 5th starter, the Montas, the Griffin Cannons, or whoever else they're deciding to, you never know. Maybe Sproat shows up in spring training and pitches damn well and gets a starting spot in their rotation. Who knows? So Ken's funny. I'm contradicting myself, even though he just showed up. That's nice. No, I never said the league caught up to them. That's the thing. No, Ken, it's not the number one bullshit because it's funny because the Mets lost because of their pitching last year. And we all know it, but nobody wants to actually accept that they lost because of their pitching. They were throwing Kodai Senga to start series because they didn't even believe Manaea was the number one. That's a problem. Happy New Year, Ken. Happy New Year. So that's the issue, right? Everybody's like, oh, Manaea is going to be great. Who knows? Oh, there goes my, look at my thing. Oh, man, messed me up. There we go. All right, I'm back. No, I'm not talking about a number one starter. I'm talking about the rotation right now. I'm there's no hope for a top line starter anymore, right? You could say whatever. Oh, there we go again. You could say whatever you want about a top line starter, or you think Manaea is, or you think whoever is. Sorry, they're not. You can't do it for 1 year and say, oh, top line starter. Do it again. You got to do it again. Manaea's got to do it again. David Peterson, when he came back from injury in the 21 starts, pitched you a 2.90 ERA. Do I think he can do that again? I mean, we all hope so. But let's say he doesn't. Let's say he pitches to a 3.5 ERA, which is still pretty damn good. Now you're working with something here. You're working with a lot better because we need Kodai Senga to be healthy. If he can be healthy and he can provide close to what he did in 2023, well, great. But now we need Manaea to be close to what he did in 2024. Same thing with David Peterson. If you got those three guys being somewhat similar to what they've shown in prior years, now, Montez is definitely a number 4. You don't need greatness out of him. You don't need a career year or, a rejuvenation year like Severino. I mean, it would be nice. But now you're talking about 4th, 5th, 6th starters that you want to get innings out of. And, occasionally you need you want them to keep you in ball games. That's the idea with the 4th, 5th, and 6th starters. No, pitchers, I agree with that, right? Everybody says the Yankees have one of the best rotations in baseball. I don't agree with that. But, they also have to show it. Garrett Cole's another year older. Carlos Rodon is a ticking time bomb. And Max Fried, we all forget this. The Braves didn't even try to get him. And other teams kind of, there wasn't a lot of teams in on Max Fried. And you do wonder that. Why? Because there has been injury concerns. He's pitched a ton. And ever since that World Series outing, which he was great in, his postseason numbers after that have been disgusting. And I know you just look at the overall excellentness of greatness of what he has done. But again, Yankees don't have Juan Soto. And, the American League garbage anyway, so it's not like, the Yankees really have to try hard to make the playoffs. And they'll probably run through. Who are they going to face? The Guardians again? The Royals again? I mean, come on. I mean, the Red Sox are probably going to be better with their pitching staff and their offense is solid. But are they going to contend against the Yankees? Probably not. The Orioles are a joke until they can prove that they can actually do it. They just lost Corbin Burns. They're talking about Jack Flaherty now to the Orioles, which is like, okay, that's not Corbin Burns. So how does that make them better? The Orioles couldn't pitch last year, and that was their problem. They still can't win a playoff game. So there's a lot looking into it when it comes to what are we going to, anything can happen. We all know that, right? That's why we watch, right? Imagine if we thought the expectations in 2024 from the Mets weren't very pleasing. It wasn't something that you would want to turn on the TV, right? But the part that's the unknown is why we turn on SNY every single day and watch 162 games, because the possibility of what the Mets did last year with no expectations can happen. But here's the difference. There's a lot of expectations this year. A lot. There is expectations there is a target on our back. We are not going to surprise teams anymore. It's just not going to happen anymore, right? This team has not shown that they can come through a season with the expectation when there's a target on your back, right? 2022 was, people were like, all right, the Mets are good. Let's see what they can do. They ended up being one of the best teams in baseball record-wise, and we know how the disaster ended in 2022. But 2023, because of the 2022 season, everybody's expecting, oh, here come the Mets, target on their back, expectations, and they fell over themselves. Now, a lot to do with Buck Showalter, a lot to do with the core that didn't have a direction. And, they found it last year, for whatever reason. Probably Iglesias, probably different guys that brought a little bit of grit and attitude. So we do have to see if this team, and I still believe Pete Alonso is going to be a Met. I don't see him going anywhere else. Like, I just don't. I really don't. I still think the Mets are going to get 2 bats. Whatever combination you feel comfortable with, I don't think anybody can complain about whatever combination of bats that they get amongst those 3 free agents in Alonso, Bregman, and Santander. I like the combination of Bregman and Alonso better than Bregman, Santander, or Alonso, Santander, just because I think the Bregman Alonso thing fits a little bit better, considering the fact that I don't have no issue with putting Bregman at third base and moving Vientos to DH, because I think you can get more than enough playing time in the field for Vientos, giving Bregman a day off, giving Alonso a day off, and DHing those guys when they're not playing the field. That's the best part about having the DH kind of that rotating position in the lineup, because you can give Nimmo more days off. You can give Alonso a day off or 2. You can give Bregman a day off too. Even Lindor, right? That back injury could flare up at any moment. And that's why you got to actually, give these guys off. And Ken, and I agree, and I agree with that. I think me and Ken were on board with this for a while, right? It seemed like there was times when Alonso needed a day off. And it's great that these guys want to play every day, but sometimes you got to be a manager and say, listen, take the day off, take a mental day off, and come back tomorrow and get your ass ready to go, right? Lindor probably needed a day off. Little thing like that with the back. Who knows if that was his body telling him, hey, I'm tired. And, it's hard to do it at the end of the year when the Mets are trying to fight for a playoff spot. But, in May or June, give these guys a day off. Ken, I 100% agree with you. I don't care how young you are, right? We've all been that age. There's some days where your body just is done and you just need a day off. Like, it's just that simple. I don't think it's that hard to understand or figure out. Like, it's simple. And I think with this DH, you can rotate guys. I know we're talking about mental days off, but there is days, like, if you have enough guys where if you take Pete Alonso out of the lineup, man, who's going to do the job? Or, if you take Lindor out of the lineup, who's going to pick it up? When you got so many guys in the lineup, you can afford to give Alonso a day off on one day, or Lindor, or Nimmo, or Bregman, or whoever. Right? Because there's always signs. Just because you're out there on the field doesn't mean you're helping the team. If your body's tired, how are you helping the team going up there 4 at-bats in a game? Or defensively, where you might not have that pep in the step, or that extra, energy and the extra step, and it could cost you a team. And I think we've seen that a couple of times last year, which was kind of annoying. But again, first-year manager Mendoza, he's going to go through some growing pains. What you want to see from Mendoza was the problems that he dealt with or that he made decisions on last year, you want him to fix, right? Great managers get better. I want to see Mendoza as good as he was. There was issues with bullpen selection, and he has to do a better job of giving certain guys days off. He was starting to do that a little bit more at the end of the year, but that was because Nimmo was breaking down with injury. Well, not breaking down, that's not fair to say, but he was, with the plantar fasciitis. He was struggling. Lindor, same thing. That was kind of out of Mendoza's hands because the guys were hurt. But even Mendoza was throwing Nimmo in the lineup. Nimmo, who is as tough as nails, if the manager's not going to take him out of the lineup, he's going to play. But he does need to improve. Mendoza does need to improve. That's the point I'm trying to get at here, as we're 17 minutes away from the new year and popping champagne when we do. So, yeah, I do agree with you guys, or at least with certain guys that are saying in the chat. You got to give the guys days off, right? I think it's important. It really is important, especially when you got backups that can fill in for that one game pretty well, right? I feel comfortable in that stuff, in that situation. And that's why when people like, oh, why do you got to get Bregman? Why do you got to get Santander? Just get Alonso, put him in the lineup with Soto. Yeah, it sounds great. But you see what the Dodgers do. You see what certain teams do. I'd rather get the good players in here, and it just works itself out. If you do, look, Vientos deserves to play third base, right? Completely understand that. But when you can bring in a really damn good player in Alex Bregman, you move Vientos out of third base because you're still going to get that bat in the lineup. I'm not saying to move Vientos to DH for Arenado, who seems like he's on his last leg. You're still having Bregman here hitting 25 plus home runs. One of the better defenders in baseball. Still can give you 260, 270 average, 80, 90 RBIs. And again, I did the StatCast thing with you the other day with Bregman. If he was playing at Citi Field, or if he was playing in different where the Mets played last year, he would have between 4 to 6 home runs more. So he would be at that 30 home run plateau. You get that extra offense there, and you're not losing any offense. Plus, you're getting better defense. Vientos played great last year defensively, right? So it's not killing him, but Bregman is a Gold Glover. He is a wizard at third base. So you get better defensively, and you also add to this lineup. And that's why I think if you just get Alonso, I'm not going to be mad about it. It's fine. But man, Bregman in that lineup too, it just makes it so much more dynamic than it probably already is, but make it even better. There's no rules here. Nobody's saying, oh, you get Pete Alonso, great. It's great to pair him with Soto, Lindor, Nimmo, Vientos, Alvarez. But just think adding Bregman to that. That's insane. That is literally a great lineup. You got 7 guys, all of them can hit easily 20 plus home runs. And that's on a bad year for all these guys. And now you have, let's say McNeil is the second baseman, right? That's like 12 to 15 homers. We know Siri can hit 18 to 20 home runs. So you can have 8 out of 9 guys hit 20 plus home runs. And then you have Soto, who is a 290, 300 hitter. You have Lindor, who's a 270 hitter. I think Nimmo is going to go back to more of that. Nimmo can hit 20 home runs, but I still think he can be that 260, 270, 280 guy. And then you pair that with Alonso, where if Alonso can just relax, this guy can hit 260, no problem. The reason why Pete Alonso was so damn dangerous was because he was batting 265, 270 with the 40 home runs and 120 RBIs. That's where he's dangerous. Pete Alonso got to go to the best. Pete Alonso was hitting that ball to right center, hitting that ball to right field. He's so strong that balls are going to go out regardless when you connect on it. It just makes this lineup damn good. And that's why you see the Mets going after Teoscar Hernandez. Still, on the fringe with Alonso, but I still think Alonso's going to come back to the New York Mets. So it comes down to, are the Mets going to get that another bat, that second bat, in either Bregman or Santander? Again, I like Bregman over Santander only because I seen Bregman do it for years. Santander had pretty good seasons, but I don't expect him to do what he did in his contract year, in his free agent year. Now, I'm not saying he's going to go from 44 home runs to 20. He can probably still hit 29, 30 home runs, but I trust Bregman more. I like that veteran. I like that guy that's been there, done that before. I love that. And that's where I think the Mets need. Along with Alonso, by the way. Right? Again, I'm not going to complain if Alonso's the only one back, but it's still a damn good, it's still a nice lineup, really good lineup. But we need a damn good lineup. And Bregman with that, I mean, just think, Lindor leading off, Soto second, Alonso third, Vientos fourth, Nimmo fifth, Bregman sixth, or Nimmo sixth, Bregman, whatever. Batting seventh is Alvarez. That's 7 guys in a lineup already. Oh, by the way, McNeil's still on the team, so put him 8th. Theory 9th. That's a really damn good lineup. Like, that is a dangerous lineup. That is really crazy to think about. And I think it's really possible that the Mets can actually pull this off. And it should be easy. It's only money. Like, you don't have to trade anybody. You don't have to do anything crazy. Anybody who gets Bregman is going to have to overpay for Bregman. I don't care about the overpay. I don't. You're paying these guys for the next 3 to 4 years, as I said. The next 3 to 4 years, when you still got prime Lindor, prime Alonso, prime Nimmo, hopefully Alvarez and Vientos take another step. When you got all these guys, a lot of these guys in their prime that are between 29 and 31 years old, that's a 3 to 4 year window where you're going to get the best possible years from these guys. The 6-year deal you might have to give Bregman, you're hoping for really damn good Bregman years, at least for 3 or 4 of them. Same thing goes for Juan Soto. I know we got him for, 174 years, but in these next 3 to 5 years is where you want to win with Lindor, Alonso, Nimmo in their prime years. And if you don't, now you hope Soto takes that reign as his 30-year-old mark, where Vientos is now that core guy with Soto, and Alvarez is, and hopefully a guy like Gilbert and a guy like Sproul, all those guys are in there together. That's where we have to be. But right now, there's a 3 to 4 year window with the guys I just mentioned where you need to win a World Series. And that's what I'm looking at right now. I don't care about year 10 of Juan Soto. I don't care the back end of Lindor contract or Alonso's contract or Nimmo's contract. It's irrelevant until we get there. And it's probably not going to be until 2030 until we care about that. But what I do know is that the window is the next 3 to 4 years. You got to win. That's why I'm frustrated with the rotation. But I just gave you an outlook of where my mind isn't so, excited about the rotation. But I see what David Stearns and the Mets are looking at here when it comes to just the pure numbers of last year with the guys they got in their rotation. Right? We saw what Manaea did last year. I don't expect him to be that's wrong to say. I hope that he what he was last year. If he can do that, great. And then we really are working with something. I'm not even going to talk about Kodai Senga because until he gets through spring training healthy and gets that pitch count up, gets those innings up, it's irrelevant to talk about until we see it. David Peterson, he pitched you a 2.9 ERA last year with 21 starts. Can he do that again? That would be great. But even if he pitches to a 3.5 ERA, that's still damn good. So you already got David Peterson, Sean Manaea, two guys that are replicating close to what they did last year. Now you're working with two very good starters at the top end of your rotation. Now, if Kodai Senga is healthy, you expect him to pitch well while he's on the mound, but he has to be healthy. If he's healthy, I think he'd be fine. But we have to wait to see that. And then if Senga can be healthy and pitch pretty well, now you got a 1-2-3 that you have no problem going throughout the season with. You're like, hell yeah, we got a pretty good, a decent rotation. And now Montez comes in here. If Montez comes in here and as a number 4, and if he can just be a little bit better than what he was last year, say pitching to a little above 4 ERA, well, guess what? Say he pitches like Severino did last year, and you saw the difference what Severino did this year compared to he did his previous couple of seasons. Now we're talking here. Now we got 4 guys. You're like, all right, now we're looking good. The 5th guy, I can't tell you. The Mets want to go to a 6-man rotation. How they're going to do that, I don't know, because they don't have enough. They do have guys. But do I want Tom McGill as my 6th starter? Oh, sure. I guess. That's why that 6th starter thing is nonsense until you bring in somebody else. If Sasaki comes in here, well, it kind of solves that problem. Oh, yeah, Clay Holmes. I keep on forgetting Clay Holmes because I truly believe at the end of spring training, this guy's going to be in the bullpen. I keep on forgetting Clay Holmes because, in my mind, he's a bullpen guy. But, okay, there you go. Clay Holmes. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate that. So it's like, damn. You know what I'm saying? And Clay Holmes, I don't know. What if he goes through spring training and he's a disaster as a starter? You can't put him in the rotation. You just can't. And the Mets didn't promise anything. They said they would give him an opportunity to make the rotation, to pitch as a starter. If he doesn't pitch well in spring training, the Mets are going to put him in the rotation. So, personally, I don't want Clay Holmes in a rotation. But if the Mets decide that, and spring training, he looks fine, all right, there's no problem giving him an opportunity if he looks decent in spring training. So if Clay Holmes is in the rotation, he's going to be a 5 or 6 anyway. Nothing special. Who knows? Can he pull a Seth Lugo? He has really good stuff. That's one thing for sure. He does got 4 pitches. He usually cuts it down to 2, possibly 3 when he's in the bullpen. But if he can be a decent starter, then I'm okay with that. As long as it gets McGill out of the rotation, I'm fine. So that's where I am when it comes to the Mets. I want 2 more bats. Alex Bregman, Pete Alonso. I think that suits the Mets better. I like that much, much better than Santander. Even though I'm not going to, bitch and moan if it's Santander and Pete Alonso. I'm not. Because you could do a lot worse. But I'm still confident the Mets are going to get 2 bats. It just seems like the way they're working, right? Nobody knew they were in on Teoscar Hernandez until after he signed with the Dodgers, and it came out that the Mets offered him a 2-year deal. Why? Why would they do that? It didn't seem like they would be in on any outfielder. And I know Teoscar Hernandez can be a DH, but so can Santander. So it's very interesting to see. And then I keep on thinking, I'm like, who would the Mets feel more comfortable giving a 5-6 year deal to, Santander or Bregman? And I think Bregman's the answer, right? Early on in the offseason, the smoke was Bregman Mets. There was a connection there. It's been, every now and then you'll hear a little bit about Bregman and the Mets. And I know they keep on saying the Tigers are all in. But if they're all in and if they are the favorites, it seems like there's a big money gap. I don't see that materializing pretty well. Yeah, Ken, I don't believe that though, because the Dodgers were clearly doing 2 years as well. Because if the Dodgers were 3 years this whole time, Teoscar Hernandez would have took it a while ago. Clearly, the Dodgers were at 2 years, just like probably other teams. And the Dodgers just went to that third year. I think Teoscar Hernandez was always leaning to the Dodgers, but I think he wanted that third year. Now, if the Dodgers jumped and said, we're going to give you the third year, and he just took it without going to other teams, there's nothing the Mets can do there. There's no need to give 3 years when you just saw everybody else giving 2 years. Again, they went after Teoscar Hernandez. Where was Teoscar Hernandez playing? Left field, right field, center? They mostly would have put him as the DH. And oh, by the way, guys, the ball's going to drop in about a minute. So when it does, we got to pop champagne and break in the new year and get ready for the 2025 season of the New York Mets. So here we go. Here we go. Gonna, got it. They do these twist things now. Like, where's the cork? Where's the cork? I hear it fizzling now. That's good. I like that. Ken, you don't have any alcohol. Damn it, man. It's all good. But here we go, guys. Gonna try to. What's with these screws now? These screw caps. Come on. You gotta hit a pop. So I gotta make it pop. Oh, these things falling off. There we go. All right, here we go. I'm a little messed up over here. That's all right. Who cares? Oh, there we go. Hey, I try to have some fun, guys. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. And look, oh, look, they do have a cork. Look at that. It's a plastic one, but who cares? Let's go. Hey. Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year. And I just got soaked, but that's okay. It is Andre. You did see that? I was trying to avoid that, but that's all right. No drinking while typing. I'm not. Even though I got drenched. But that's okay. Happy New Year, guys. 2025 is here. You forgot the cup and the hat. It's all good, man. It's all, oh, yeah. California. Are you even the United States? I'm joking. But yeah. Happy New Year, guys. Yeah, it's actually pretty good. Actually, I picked it up today, actually, from I forgot where I picked it up. But yeah, guys, so Happy New Year, guys. 2025 is here. Mets baseball coming up in about a month and a half, pitchers and catchers. Can't wait until the roster is finalized so we can actually talk more about an actual lineup. And that's what we're going to be doing hopefully very, very soon. But again, once this Sasaki comes to an end and we know where he's going, then we'll see if the Mets are really in on somebody else. But we have to wait and see, right? But the good news is the New York Mets, to put 2024 in the past and wrap it up, the Mets had a really damn good 2024 season. It was such an outstanding season. It was so much fun. It was obviously unexpected. I don't care how confident or, how good you might have felt about the team. I know I had 86 wins. I think Chris had 84 wins, and they had 89. Nobody was expecting the NLCS appearance, guys. And it was so much fun. 2024 was much more than we could expect from our New York Mets. But 2025, as the fireworks are popping all over the place in my neck of the woods, and it is the woods in North Carolina. So, guys, it's been a pleasure But 2025, I think, is going to be good for us. I think the New York Mets are going to be one of the favorites to win a World Series. I think they're going to get 2 more bats. Whatever combination you want, I think they're going to get one of those combinations, 2 bats in this lineup. If they don't add to the rotation, there is potential with this rotation, as I mentioned earlier. But good news is 2025 is here. We're a month, 51 days, give or take. It's about a month and a half until pitchers and catchers, guys. Can't wait for that, but the roster needs to be finalized. What will the Mets do? We will be here. I will be here. Chris will be here for more Mets Hot Stove, more Mets Talk Live. And thank you guys for supporting the channel throughout all the years. If some of you have been here from the beginning, and definitely for the 2024 season, the Amazing Mets pregame show took off in the first year of its existence. Obviously, me and Chris are going to be bringing that back this year. We're definitely probably going to do a post game as well. So make sure, guys, you keep on coming back for more. Happy New Year, guys. Enjoy your day in the new year. Be safe, guys. Thank you for tuning in to Mets Talk Live New Year's edition. Enjoy yourself, guys. Happy New Year. And let's go, Mets, guys, as I drink away the night away for 2025. Enjoy yourself, guys. Let's go, Mets. And I'll see you next time, guys. Have a good night. Happy New Year.
City lights in the dead of night, full of echo. Concrete jungle, dreams bust to grow. Mets in the air, chase glory, no fear. Broken backs, but hearts steer clear. OMG, the chaos, what a scene. Streets buzzing like a machine. Creepers from the shadows, chills on my spine. Past haunts, the future shine. Comebacks in the night, keep dreaming.